So we are going to get into our lasso guard. Again, it's spider guard, but the lasso is what really takes everything up a level in both control, in ability to sweep, lessens your athleticism, but that comes with anything that locks you in position. So, talked about it briefly in the intro. So we go to our basic spider guard. So my bent leg, all it has to do is drop down, trace on the outside of his arm, and then hook behind the tricep. Or, we should talk about that grip break because you let go. From here, pull and kick again. That's always your go-to just to break the grip. I pull him deep towards me. I elevate and thread. And if I want to get a little bit more control, or if I'm going to be using techniques where I want to lock into some additional grips, not just stay with my hand on his sleeve, we're going to kick deep and then pull him in. It just brings him towards me and makes the grip sets a little easier and gives me more time to actually find my grip. Now the basic sweep here, we'll actually go from the feet. And that doesn't change at all. Just rotate this way. So when we start from the feet here, nothing changes. It actually makes the sweep even easier. So again, we want to make sure that this wrist is under my control. It's on the inside of my thigh or at my hip. Now what we're going to do is we can either force this or we can bait him. So we'll go for the bait first. I drop my foot and then I cross it to the outside of his other hip here and create a hook. So my leg's going to end up in this position. The key thing is that this shin that's on the inside of his gut here has to be his shock absorber. This is going to have to catch his hip. I can't allow it to get folded over and I can't allow it to get extended out. But it's very, very hard for him to do any of those things. It's more of a mistake on my part. So again, standard spider, break the grip, pull him down as I elevate my hip and catch. My foot goes across the hip. He thinks I just got a gimme. He got an easy pass. So he's not only dropping his weight into the position, he's also putting himself into the angle. So my hand here, as I cross through, is looking to hook his knee. If he gets the cross face, it's fine. So if you want to take that momentum through, all I do with this lasso is pull. I flare my knee to the side here, and that pulls the weight over the top. So as long as this knee wasn't already flattened out here, you can see I'm not doing anything. It's just compressed. I'm carrying all of his weight over the spring of my knee here. So I pull, and I'm just going to keep him tipping towards his head, but I don't want to try and force him over his head. Once he's created base with his head, my knee now opens up. I push with my hip, and that makes him fall. Now to be nice to your partners, remember there's a bicep slicer here. So a lot of guys would be like, oh yeah, I got it, and then all of a sudden crunch or ow, 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 tap, 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 and then you get disqualified, okay? So make sure that when you complete the sweep, you're thinking about clearing the arm and then getting on top. But if you're brown black belt, well, there's an attack for you. So again, spider, set the lasso, cross the foot over, he takes the bait, and I catch his knee. So you see I get a little bit balled up here. Throw your knee into the position towards his head, and then we sit forward. If you want to be even fancier, I'm not sure if I'm still in the frame or not here, we're going to double up our grip, force his arm towards me, and throw the legs over the top and catch a nice arm bar. However, you are almost helping him into hitchhiker escape based on the angle. So we'll do that one more time, this time with momentum. So again, I get my position, get on top again. Make sure you clear that bicep slicer. You can also get up and go straight to knee on belly from that position. All just depends on what you want. So again, that's him taking the bait. We can also force this technique. So if he's on his knees, it just gets easier. So instead of, I could still hook. I would hook if he was on his feet, but if he's on his knees, I'm going to go for an outside grip on the knee here. Okay, not on the thigh, not on the tip of the knee. I want to catch as low towards the ankle while still being, a legal grip, unless the referee's on this side, then we grab on the inside. Okay, so all I have to do is create the momentum. He's not taking the bait, he's staying where he is. I drive my hips into him, pushing him back, and then I bring everything back with me. Okay, we'll do that one from the feet this time. So if he doesn't want to give me the momentum, I'll create it. Now, from here though, I could go across like this, but if I feel the guy's, kind of hips in on me and he's like trying to resist, plant instead. Hips up and push, and then I drop under. And then now I have that same Tominagi-like extension that we had from the balloon sweep to throw the guy over. So really, really effective sweep. Like, this is one of those eureka moments for a lot of people making their way from white to blue, or again at white belt. This is one of those sweeps where, remember I was saying earlier in the position where it doesn't require force at all. This technique is so powerful in just its base that you can hit almost anybody with it, as long as they don't immediately, shut you down. Okay, now what we're going to do is a very similar sweep, but so he's going to end up getting taken over to the same side, to the lasso side, because again, if you can't plant his hand, he doesn't have much base, so we're controlling the elbow line. But we're going to change the angle of our attack. So whereas the first one here, let's go to your knees. The first one, if you noticed, I was sweeping him to this side, but I'm getting my head away from it. This time I'm going to sweep him to that side, but turn my head towards it. Now this is all based on him putting his knee up. So you remember where we were saying how sometimes with the momentum sweep, guys will try and put their cross knee through, other knee. Exactly, and try and break this position. So if that happens, my lasso is going to turn into a hook. And then I just have to turn to the side, and then from this position, I just think about kicking myself over the top, and you can fall down. And from that position, I just get up. I don't use this sweep because I prefer that standard lasso sweep. Opens up a few more options, whereas you kind of get to the end of your road when you rotate to that side, you're rotating away from the position. Unless you wanted to fire off in sort of a tight omoplata if you catch the elbow, which is another technique. Whereas the other ones can play into some bigger positions and some transitions. Okay, so now what we're going to look at is omoplatas so you can go for a triangle from the lasso. It's just, why would you go there if you already were in a better, stronger, more athletic position from the standard? Like, I would go for something else, but you can. So we're going to be looking mainly at the omoplata from the lasso. Actually, we'll go for my knees. So, we're going to turn this back. So, we get the lasso. The first one here is going to be our tricep grip. So I have my standard lasso positioning. I'm going to bail on his wrist because if he clears, so long as I'm quick, it's not going to matter. I'm going to bail on this grip here, and I'm going to grab behind his elbow. Sleeve to elbow. I kick up and I pull his elbow over top of my knee as I did that same basic omoplata set up and attack from there. And then you can finish how you want. Now, it's a little less secure, that one. This is why I start with it. So again, we set this up, I kick, and I attack. The next one is essentially the same, but what I'm going to do is go for my cross-side hand, okay? Reach through, kick, and rotate through. So essentially the same technique, but you can go for your far hand. I don't know why you would, because you'd have to cross your leg, but it's possible. Just back up a little bit. Now the best one though, in my opinion, is starting with our collar grip. So instead of letting go of all that control, I keep this, and I get my cross grip. I bury him, and I pull my knee in tight. Then I release and go behind the elbow, similar to the very first option. Kicking and driving through, so I have a bit more posture control and a bit more security for the tap in the trap. And of course, finish as we were. Now, from the feet. this plays into our sweeps a bit more. So from here, from the feet, I could still do my big attacks, or tight attacks. But we gotta be fancy once in a while. So very similar to if I were going to go for that bait sweep. Instead though, if I know I wanna go for the omoplata, I'm gonna keep my foot buried in his gut. I'm going to go from the far, we're gonna go all the way to the cross-side leg. I'm gonna elevate and invert, and then fire my leg all the way through for the catch. Okay, so those days that you wanna feel a little bit more fancy and make your partner say, what was that? And etc. What you want to avoid when you do this is a flat spin, because if I don't elevate my hip, like this seems fine, but I'm not really going to be trapping him, and of course he's going to have a reaction of some sort. So like we're going berimbolo or something else, I want to invert. So when I go here and I catch, I want to pick my hip up and get myself on my shoulder blades. I want to shorten that rotation, and I also want to give my hip the ability to have some momentum and power, so that when it's time to actually do this at real speed, you're going to have a little bit more success.